This video is for awareness and educational purposes only. The situations discussed are meant to highlight real-life consequences and decision-making, not to glorify or encourage criminal behavior. Viewer discretion is advised. In today's archives, we're not just talking about robberies. We're talking about what happens when things don't go as planned. Because sometimes the mistake isn't just the act itself, it's everything that follows after. Let's get into it. But before we do, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for the upcoming videos. There's a certain mindset behind a lot of these situations. Fast decisions, quick actions, the idea that everything will go exactly how it's imagined. Walk in, take what you came for, walk out. Simple. But reality doesn't move like that. And that's where things begin to fall apart. Because once something small goes wrong, everything starts to shift. Timing is off, movement is rushed, attention changes, and now, what felt controlled just seconds ago starts slipping. And this is where panic starts to show up. Because when things don't go as planned, people don't always slow down. They speed up, they rush, they try to fix the situation immediately. And that's where mistakes stack. You'll see situations where someone thinks they still have control, but they don't. They move faster, make worse decisions, and put themselves in positions they can't recover from. Then there are the situations where everything stops completely, where someone realizes they're stuck, doors not opening, paths blocked, no clear way out. And in that moment, everything changes. Because now it's not about taking anything anymore. It's about getting out, trying one way, then another, looking for something that works. But nothing does. And every second that passes adds pressure. Because being stuck was never part of the plan. And this is where things get unpredictable. Because when panic takes over, logic disappears. People start doing things that don't make sense, breaking things that won't help, running in directions that don't lead anywhere, trying to force situations that can't be forced. And sometimes they make it out. But even then, it's not over. Because there are moments where someone gets away, only to realize something is missing, something left behind, something not finished. And instead of leaving, they turn around. That decision right there is where everything changes. Because once something goes wrong, you don't get the same moment twice. The situation is different now. The risk is higher. The pressure is real. But panic doesn't think like that. Panic says, go back. Fix it. Finish it. And that's how a bad situation turns into something worse. There have been situations where people go to extreme lengths to escape. Running without direction, jumping over obstacles they can't handle, trying to hide in places that don't make sense, doing anything just to get away. But every move adds more pressure. Every decision builds on the last one. And eventually, there's no more room to fix anything. Because what started as something quick turns into something they can't control. And that's the part people don't think about. Not the beginning, not the plan, but what happens when everything falls apart. Because once panic takes over, it's no longer about thinking. It's about reacting. And reactions don't always lead to good outcomes. That's why when you look at these situations, you start to see the same pattern, the same buildup, the same shift, and the same moment where everything changes. Control turns into panic, and panic turns into consequences. Because in the end, it was never just about the robbery. It was about what happened when there was no way out. There have been situations where people go to extreme lengths to escape, running without direction, not thinking about where they're going, just moving, trying to create distance instead of creating a plan, jumping over obstacles they can't handle, climbing things they shouldn't be climbing, forcing their way through spaces that weren't meant to be exits, trying to hide in places that don't make sense, behind objects that don't cover them, in areas that only make them more visible, thinking if they just stay still, everything will pass, doing anything at all, just to get away. But every move adds more pressure, because now it's not just about leaving, it's about escaping a situation that's already closing in. Every decision builds on the last one. And when that first decision was wrong, everything after it becomes harder to fix. And eventually, there's no more room to fix anything. No reset, no starting over, no second chance to slow things down. Because what started as something quick, something simple, something they thought would be over in seconds, turns into something they can't control. And control is everything in moments like this. Because once control is gone, so is clarity. And that's the part people don't think about. Not the beginning, not the plan, not the idea of how it's supposed to go, but what happens when everything falls apart. Because once panic takes over, it doesn't ask questions. It doesn't slow down. It doesn't wait. It reacts, and it reacts fast. So now, it's no longer about thinking. It's not about strategy. It's not about making the right move. It's about doing something, anything, in the moment. And reactions don't always lead to good outcomes because reactions are rushed. They're emotional. They're unplanned, and unplanned decisions come with consequences. That's why when you look at these situations, you start to see the same pattern over and over again. The same buildup, the same confidence in the beginning, the same belief that everything is under control, the same shift. That moment where things start to feel off, where timing changes, where pressure builds, and the same moment where everything changes. Control turns into hesitation. Hesitation turns into panic. And panic turns into consequences. Because in the end, it was never just about the robbery. It was about the decisions made after things went wrong. It was about the moment where there was no clear way out and what happens when someone realizes they're stuck.
If you like deep conversations like this, grab your STJ merch and a copy of the Spilling the Juice book series at spillingthejuice.com. Also available on Amazon and all major book platforms. STJ Archives, signing off.